Well, alright, comic book collectors of Sheffield. This week we're going to do something a little different, as we're going to have a brief look at a small run of comics, some of which I've had in my collection for a while now, and some I've got recently just to finish this run off. This run also introduces a new character to the DC universe, Zatanna, daughter of Giovanni John Zatanna and Cindella. The main thing to note about both Zatanna and Zatanna is they use magic by saying words in their spells backwards. You'll see examples of this as we go along. We first meet Zatanna in Hawkman number 4, in a story called The Girl Who Split in Two. While investigating two items that have suddenly appeared in Midway City Museum, Hawkman and Hawkgirl decide to split up and head to the countries they believe the items to be from, China and Ireland. And after fighting off some criminals in each location, they each come across what they realise are immobilised women who are speaking some kind of alien language. Taking each one back to their Star Cruiser, they piece together that the women are both saying part of the same sentence. Piecing that together, they find out that this is Zatanna, daughter of Zatara. They merge the two women back into one, and Zatanna explains she managed to split herself in two to track down two villains she's heard her father mention. But, as she's new to all this magic malarkey, things didn't quite work out the way she expected. She used what little power she had left to transport the items to the museum in the hopes that Hawkman and Hawkgirl will try and track the origins of these items down. I mean, it's a long shot, but it worked. Anyway, Hawkman and Hawkgirl use their Absorbuscon to try and find Zatara, but it's no use. Not giving up hope, Zatanna leaves to carry on her search. Next up is Detective Comics number 336. Zatanna doesn't appear in this issue, neither is she mentioned, but we'll come back to this later on as it does play a part further on down the line. From there we move on to the Atom number 19, The World of the Magic Atom. Being called in to investigate a robbery at a bank the night before, the Atom manages to find the crooks rather unexpectedly. As it turns out, the robbery and the Atom being able to find the crooks is all down to Zatanna again. She's still getting used to this magic malarkey. She explains to the Atom that she thinks her father is in a subatomic world in the pages of a book. She needs his help to get there. He explains that only he can make that kind of trip, but they end up fashioning a new costume out of white dwarf star material for Zatanna, as she's willing to take the risk. This new costume looks like her existing one, fishnets and all. Inside the book is the world of Catamore, where they meet up with a character called the Druid, who had previously faced off with and bested Zatara, and through more magic shenanigans managed to banish Zatara to a far-off land. Turns out, using the people of Catamore, the Druid can absorb magic. This comes into play later on when Zatanna and the Atom face off against him, and Zatanna manages to beat him by use of a simple stage card trick, which he can't absorb the magic of. This leaves him in a state of suspended animation. After tidying everything up with the people of Catamore, Zatanna uses her size controls to return to her normal size, but this seemingly kills her. But fear not, she's alive, and well in the Atom's lab, all thanks to magic. Zatanna comes up short again, but she explains to the Atom that maybe she'll seek help from Green Lantern, or the Flash, not likely on that one, or maybe the entire Justice League. We next meet Zatanna in Green Lantern number 42, in a story titled The Other Side of the World. This issue revolves around the land of Weiss. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. And the warlock who resides there. We initially see Zatanna, who's trying to make use of the blue flames that transport people from Earth to Weiss, but things don't go according to plan. Later, Hal Jordan gets word that a pirate, Patch-Eyed Pete, there's no need to come up with a more imaginative name, as he's one and done in this issue, is robbing a bank. After confronting Pete and going back and forth with him, including one part where he manages to block Pete's yellow sword, Green Lantern finds himself in the land of Weiss, with Zatanna along for the ride. Zatanna is convinced Zatara is here, and she explains her previous adventures to Green Lantern, and also that the warlock had lured Green Lantern here, as he needs his power ring to be able to enter our world. After trying and failing to get Green Lantern's power ring, the warlock sends his army and demons out instead. They're eventually overpowered though, and upon unconfronting the Warlock, he tells them he'll tell Zatanna where Zatanna is if he can get Green Lantern's power ring. But no tricks from Green Lantern though. Once he gets the ring, he explains he had come across Zatanna, who stole a crystal ball the Warlock had that would have let him get to Earth, but he doesn't know where Zatanna went. Trying to use the ring though, the Warlock finds himself frozen in place. So let's get this straight. In the previous Atom issue, the Druid was left pretty much catatonic, and now the Warlock is left as a living statue, and all they've got so far is that the Warlock and the Druid have seen Zatanna, but don't know where he is. Still, Zatanna seems quite positive about this and carries on with her search. We next move on to Detective Comics 355. And it's the backup story starring the elongated man called The Tantalizing Troubles of the Tripod Thieves. Here, whilst trying to stop a robbery involving some flying crooks, Ralph comes across Zatanna at a prop store. She's also after the crooks, and it's through her that they're flying. It was the quickest way she could get hold of them. Ralph and Zatanna fight off the crooks and the owner of the prop store, and end up acquiring the Book of I Ching and the Ting tripod. Zatanna was only after the tripod, which according to the prop store owner the crooks had previously stolen, but the owner also had the book on him as well, which is a bit of a bonus. Zatanna says she needs both of these items to penetrate the dark realm where she's convinced Zatanna is. Could he be there, really, after all this time? Ralph offers to go with her, but she says this is no place for a normal human being. Never mind, Ralph. Thanks for helping anyway. The story ends with Ralph being at home with his wife Sue, where he presents her with a necklace made from the pearls that the crooks had stolen at the start of the story. Oh Sue, if only we knew what DC had in store for you. Zatanna's search finally culminates in Justice League of America number 51, in a story called Z as in Zatanna and 0 Hour. The story starts with a backward spell emanating from a crystal ball in the Justice League's headquarters. The spell calls into action the Atom, Batman, Green Lantern, Hawkman, and Elongated Man. They're all surprised to be there, especially Ralph, as he's not a member of the Justice League. Not yet anyway, Ralph, but someday. Zatanna then appears to thank them all for helping her find her father. Wait, she found him? The heroes are just as confused as I am, especially Batman, who's never met Zatanna, as they all failed when they tried to help her. Anyway, she gives them all a hug and the issue ends. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. Zatanna goes on to explain that she found where Zatanna is when she came across an old sword in an antique shop that not only contained an elemental called Allura, but had also been used by Zatanna to fight his last and greatest foe. I mean, I've been in antique shops and I've never come across anything as exciting as this. Allura explains to Zatanna that she needs the Book of I Ching and the Ting tripod. I remember those from Detective Comics 355. To be able to free Allura from the sword, so she can then take her to the land of Karma, where Zatanna is. Once there though, she's attacked, but calls on the Atom, Green Lantern and Hawkman to aid her. Although it's not actually them but magical counterparts, because, comics. Next we see Zatanna. Finally, he's here. But he conjures up one of his old foes and sends him out to stop Zatanna. Parents. Sometimes they just don't want to be helped. This is more than our heroes can handle, so Zatanna also calls in Elongated Man and Batman. It's at this point that the real Batman interrupts the story and tells Zatanna that they've never met. But you have, Batman. Remember Detective Comics 336 and the witch that featured in that issue? Well, unbeknownst to everyone, that's actually Zatanna. There she is on the cover there. And what it looks like, this issue came out around the time of the Batman TV series. And also, you can't have a Justice League story without having one of the big guns in. Superman will be no use in this story as it's all magic related. He doesn't handle magic well. I'm not sure why they didn't think to put Wonder Woman in somehow, but we got Batman instead with a bit of a retcon to a story that came out 2 years earlier. Think about that. This story started in 1964 in Hawkman 4 and finished here in 1967. Anyway, the addition of Batman and Elongated Man helped turn the tide, until Batman goes crazy and tries to get everyone to stop fighting. The others turn on him, but he is the world's greatest detective, and by doing some comic book detecting, he and the others work out that there's a demon inside of Zatanna, and they let Zatanna get taken. She has the demon driven out of her, who's the elemental Allura from earlier in the story. This elemental ends up fighting with a good version of herself, who makes her submit with an armbar. We find out the bad Allura had cursed Zatanna, as she was the reason he disappeared in the first place. Finally, daughter and father are reunited. Finally, back on Earth in real time, Zatanna appears in front of the Justice League members to thank them himself. And there ends Zatanna's search and the introduction of Zatanna to the DC Universe. 6 issues spanning 3 years. Although we have one last bookend, and that's DC Special Blue Ribbon Digest number 5. Secret Origins of Superheroes. In here we have a short story, new to this issue I believe, that gives us a brief origin of Zatanna and how Zatanna found out about her heritage and got started on her quest in the first place. So technically, this story comes before Hawkman issue 4. This was printed in 1980. So that's 7 issues spanning 16 years. That is some search that Zatanna went on. And finally, I'd like to give a shout out to my uncle who gave me Hawkman number 4 for my birthday earlier this year. He gave me that along with a stack of other comics from his collection. I'm hoping he won't mind me saying this, but he was there when they originally came out. So a big thanks and shout out to my Uncle Des for this. Cheers. And lastly, as it's November, it's time for everyone's favourite feature on this channel. It's time for Cover of the Month. This month's cover is Tales of the Unexpected, number 93. I was the Evolution Devolution Man. I mean, we've all had bad days, but I think that takes the biscuit. Anyway, that's all for this week. Once again, thanks for watching.